Welcome to episode 4 of How Not to Kill Yourself. For anybody that's new to the channel, How Not to Kill Yourself is self-help for the self-destructive. Today we're going to talk about safe sex, information, lack thereof, and misconceptions. And I'm joined by two very attractive people.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. To your right, and my left, we have Flotacious.
Hello, everyone.
And to my right, we have Franko.
Hello.
And now they're about to be ambushed with questions. No, I'm kidding. We're going to get started. Well, I'm going to ask some questions, though, because I did all the talking in the other episodes. So anyone, feel free to jump in. Let's start with your definition. How do you define safe sex?
Safe sex, I feel, begins with you. Meaning that checking your body out, making sure that you're okay to even engage in sex. Because there's some people that may have, problems with, reaching their climax, and that may be an issue for the other partner if they don't know that they have that problem. Also, that I think both partners should be tested together, not the person handing you a random old test and maybe changing the number of the date when he or she got tested. Because people are grinding at it. That's how you look out for yourself. You guys both go to the clinic, start from there, and this is not only because of, you use a condom, but condoms can break. So I feel that this is the best way. You both go get tested before you have sex, and a lot of people don't do that. I'm guilty of it. I haven't done that in the past all the time.
I'm so glad you said you're guilty of it, because one thing I emphasize, even though this is self-help for the self-destructive, I've done everything that I'm doing videos about.
Yes.
And I may do some of those things in the future. I hope not. But the point is that, it's kind of taking that step back and understanding where there's misinformation, whether we're being misled. So how do you define safe sex?
So I was always told that, wear a condom, protection is safe sex. But Flotacious, you're telling me, I didn't even think about this. It's always about getting tested. And you're always, encouraged to do that, at least with my family and like growing up in, a community that is very conversational on sex ed. But so I think first thing, step one is to get tested, find out, what, you are safe, clean, and then always protection.
Yes.
I always encourage everyone condom. If you can.
One more thing I want to add also that I forgot to mention is that being raised in a Christian home, I was taught that safe sex is better when you're married, which is not always the case. Especially nowadays, a lot of husbands who may be on a down low, or even their wives who are switching partners without telling their husband or wife, and they bring it back home, and that husband or wife contracts AIDS or another STD. So I was always taught that safe sex is when you get married. You're saving it for your husband or you're saving that for your wife. But nowadays it's not always the case, because you have people living double lives, which is sad.
I didn't think of that. Anything to add there?
Well, I think it has also too, like, for me, I've been in relationships where they were open and not open, and there was an agreement. So I do think it's very important to always, regularly get tested.
Yes.
I think it's like a general rule of thumb I've heard is 6 weeks or a month. And if you're active and if you have an open relationship, and then also just always having protection.
Yes.
But a lot of people I talk to, and they just don't like using it because it's not as pleasurable.
Right.
It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I was this is a few years ago,
Have
maybe.
some insight to that.
It's true. I think maybe 7 years ago, I was shocked. An English teacher who I looked up to because I felt that he was very knowledgeable about different topics.
Yeah.
When he told me that AIDS didn't exist, I was like, "You're kidding me."
Oh wow.
He was like, "No, you believe that crap? Please, I've been having unprotected sex for years.
Oh.
I don't know where he is today, or
He doesn't sound too educated.
But I was shocked. Because when we will have conversations, it will be like, different topics, politics, all kinds of stuff. I'm like, wow, I look up to him. And then when he said that, I was just like, oh my goodness.
Well, make sure you send him this video.
I love to. I no longer work in that school or with that staff. I don't know where he is today. But if he happens to stumble on this, I hope
the universe has blessed us, because I do want to bring up a very important point that you probably already know or may not know. The AIDS Walk in New York City is today.
Yes,
so we have perfect timing for this episode. You guys kind of answered my question, but I'm just going to confirm. So it sounds like we're saying regular use of condoms is important, but that's not necessarily enough. The testing is very important as well.
It is. It's very vital.
Maybe just a combination of both.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've actually, because I'm on several dating sites. No, I'm not desperate. It's just. You know,
tell us your name on the dating sites for our viewers.
Flotacious. That's my name.
So if you're on, we're not going to name the dating sites, but if you search for Flotacious, all of this, there you go.
And if you have a partner that you tell them to let's get tested, which has happened on the dating site, I say, well, before we can ever do something in the future, if we do start dating, we have to get tested together.
Right.
They delete me, or they just they
slither away.
Yeah. I'm like, this is good. It's a possible elimination.
The connection is good.
You don't want to get tested, you delete me from the app. That's great, because you're saving my life. Okay.
Yes. Bye.
So speaking of, have either of you or a friend, I love the friend, because I don't know if you've seen the Subway ads where it's like 90% of men report no erectile dysfunction issues, but 70% of them have a friend
of course,
that has that issue. So back to the condoms. Have you or a friend ever had any scares because of the condom malfunctioning or breaking or coming off? And how did they handle it, or how did you handle it if it was you?
That's a good question.
I mean, it's definitely happened to me twice.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's come off or it's broken.
Did you freak out?
I didn't freak out, mainly because it was a person that I knew, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are safe or they are negative, when it comes to the STIs. But I know myself, after that happened, that incident, we went with emergency contraception, which Plan B is one of that options. And then the second time, I think it was just like, getting tested regularly. I mean, if you are active, it only makes sense. If you're not active, I mean, obviously you don't want to waste your time and money testing yourself, clearly, right?
Oh, that's true.
Well, you can look cool.
I guess you can.
All the cool kids are getting tested.
I know.
There's some people that are, secretive about the fact that they are not active. And maybe they just want to go, you can Instagram yourself at the clinic or
take a photo. Be like negative.
No, it's true.
Hashtag negative.
I like that.
Speaking of, though, that's what I was going to be my next question. What are your just general thoughts on abstinence?
Well, I've been abstinent for almost a year. July will be a year.
Okay.
It's a decision I made between myself and God, because I was going down a path that wasn't good. But it's been difficult. Of course, I have desires and all these feelings, but my best friend has been masturbation. Even though I was told it was a sin, I don't care. I have to release some time, and the doctor told me it was great to do that.
That spiritual creativity that's happening every time.
Yeah.
That's my belief.
That is so
because I just take little pieces of different
and it's the
beliefs and put them together. So in my opinion, this is my opinion, please don't shoot me, whoever's watching that disagrees, I think that honestly can help your creativity.
Yeah.
And if you are having a difficult week and you have to go into a job interview or something, just release. You can just be very relaxed
and it's
calm.
Safe.
I agree. 100%. I mean, I actually, my doctor suggested that.
Really?
Because I had.
That's a first.
Yeah, my doctor told me.
I know, she's very cool,
Shout
young Jewish doctor.
Yeah.
She is so funny, and I told her I had an accident where there wasn't a condom involved. And she's like, I think you're going to be fine. Obviously, we're going to test you.
Yeah.
But she's like, did you ever consider masturbation, which nobody wants to talk about? It's uncomfortable.
I need a song about that.
Even with my close
maybe
female
people
friends,
do
they
want
don't, you know, some of them is like, they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is taboo.
Yeah.
With especially female.
Yeah.
I've talked to my female friends and even my guy friends, but the female friends are very reluctant.
Yeah, I don't
Not
know.
my female friends.
Okay, so I gotta
Or
get
even my coworkers.
Oh wow!
Thanks.
Well, maybe because it's coming from a female and not a male. I don't know.
Some people are just like to share with me.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Even on the subway, like people come to me with their problems. And if you could stop doing that would be great.
I love that.
But let's get into. You know, I always like
you just
to.
have that face. You have that
That's what
face.
everybody
Yes.
Friendly face is always a good
I'm not
thing.
that friendly.
Uh,
But let's get into some of the news. I love it. This is going to sound horrible. I do not love that there's a surge in STDs in California. I do love that it was reported this week because it ties in with our theme. So, unfortunately, if you're in California, there was more than 300,000 cases of chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis reported for 2017, which is significant because that is a 45% hike from 5 years ago. And something that stood out to me that was really sad to me, honestly, was also in California, there were over 30 stillborn deaths because of the mom having syphilis. So I don't think people realize that there's other effects to potentially contracting certain diseases. I mean, you could have a whole full-term pregnancy and then, God forbid, you give birth to a child that's not breathing. I thought that really touched me. So one of the reasons that, well, they have several reasons why this climb in STDs is happening. One is a lack of state funding, which they're trying to resolve. A lack of public education, which is why I'm here. And also, one of the things I found interesting in the report, just kind of like a red herring, was like, oh, well, one of the reasons is because of the new Affordable Care Act, you have to go to your primary care physician as opposed to just being able to like roll up in the hoodie to your nearest clinic, which most people feel comfortable with. But now it's like you have to go to your doctor and be like, stuff is not
I wasn't aware
doing
of that.
well. Can you take a look? So
That's only in California, right?
well, the report came out of California this week. It would be interesting to see how other states are faring, especially our own state of New York.
Yeah.
I did see months ago, this is from memory, there was a surge in syphilis, and I don't recall the analysis on it, but I do remember in New York State, in New York City specifically, there was a surge in syphilis. So any thoughts on the news out of California?
Wow. I mean, I have so many thoughts, but I want you to go first.
Oh, Franko, you're so sweet. It's alarming, and especially with the stillborn, it's, you know, it's sad. I've never been pregnant or had a child, but I've known people that gave birth, like one of my coworkers, she gave birth last year. It wasn't because of syphilis, but something happened where the baby suffocated last week of the pregnancy, and then she had an emergency C-section, and they couldn't save the baby. He lived for like a week.
Wow.
So she gave full birth to the baby and everything, and they couldn't save the baby. So yeah.
Right.
So to hear this with the syphilis, and you know you go through the 9 months, and then the baby comes out and it's a stillborn baby. That's just the time, the emotional pain that the mother goes through, and not only the mother but the father too. You know, goes along with that pain if he is connected with the mom like that. Sometimes there are single mothers who decide to have a baby alone, but we just have to continue to educate each other and know the seriousness of it. Because I remember GYN told me that he could have saved a few of his patients' lives if they came for their regular checkup. Like some of them had ovarian cancer, he could have helped them at the early stages if they just would come for their checkup. So it's really important to continuous check out, you know, do your checkup and stuff. Like, you know, I have fibroids. It sounds like I said 5 boys. No, I don't have.
What I
I
thought
thought
you
you
said.
did
I don't have fibroids. I have fibroids. Did I say it right?
Yes.
But there's one, or I think there's one. It's 1 centimeter, so it's not enough to like want to do the, you know, do the surgery and take it out. So you know, thank God it's not huge or big. But I'm doing stuff so that it could like shrink and disappear. So
Yes.
yeah.
Dandelion tea is one of those things. Don't ask how I know. Your
Dandelion
thoughts?
tea.
That's
What's the name of
interesting.
it?
Dandelion tea.
Oh, cool. I drink a lot of green tea. I try that tea too.
I'm a witch in my spare time.
On that note, you were asking about, am I surprised?
Yeah,
or
any
what my
thoughts?
comment-
Anything jump out to you about the report?
I guess the report doesn't surprise me at all, which is unfortunate. But I think as Americans, healthcare is just astronomically so expensive, and it's not even about the sex ed. I mean, I think that isn't a portion of the issue that's going on in California, but I think the main issue is like we are scared to go get these checkups and go get these visits because I know myself when even with healthcare, I'm like, wait, $50 for a copay, and then it's like everything adds up, and you should be going regardless because your health is most important.
And
health as well.
Right, and I mean, obviously $50 is a lot of money each time you go, but it's just some people can't afford it.
Yes.
And then, are they not sexually active? Of course not. Everybody, most people I know are sexually active, whether they can afford to go get regular checkups or not.
That's true.
You said $50 is a lot to pay. Everybody watching this, stay tuned to the end. So I went to Dwayne Reed. I was just curious, what's the most expensive condom? Honestly, I was going to see what the cheapest condom was.
Right.
Because I was like, what's the cheapest and is it good? So I have a video segment. And there was one set of condoms that was sold out, and it was $49.99.
What?
And they were lamb skin condoms.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
I am not joking.
So
They are. First of all, lamb skin is
$55.
not exactly the best to protect yourself from what I've read online.
It's very thin.
It's very thin. It's not like the material you want, but people like how it feels. And so, to your point, no shade to you, but there's probably someone out there that's like, $50 is too much for a copay, but clearly a lot of people felt that $50 for the condom was fine.
Yeah.
You're right. It just depends.
I just thought that was hilarious.
That is
$50.
so funny. Dollars.
Shout out to you if you are buying the $50 lambskin.
I hope you get a lot of
And
that
if you would
pack.
like to donate to my Patreon and PayPal, let me know, because you are balling. Okay, so before we run out of time, I'm going to run through some facts. Do not hesitate to interrupt me as I'm running through these facts.
Yeah.
But, so we covered some of this, but I always like to end with facts. You guys know this, so that you walk away informed. And so really, my angle is so that when you go to a dinner party, you mention my show. But here's some interesting facts. First of all, to be considered safe sex, disease prevention must be at the 99% level. Using condoms, this is actually possible for both HIV and hepatitis, which a lot of people don't realize because I think they think if it's a virus, it is harder in some cases. I'm going to get to that, but those two viruses or HIV can be prevented if you're using it 99% of the time correctly. Unfortunately, that's not the case for HPV, or what we know as herpes simplex 2. These viruses are present on the genital areas, around the genital areas, and other areas without symptom. I think that's very important for two reasons, because someone can have it, perhaps know that they have it, but not show any symptoms. So if you're doing the up and down once over, you think everything's good, and it's not, right? And then in I think most cases, from what I've read, people don't know they have it, and one of the reasons they don't is because they're giving themselves the once over, up and down, and they don't see anything. So that's something.
What do you mean by once over, up and down?
Yeah. I've had associates who I don't preach to my friends, just to be clear, but I'll say, you should be careful, you should do this, blah blah. And they're like, well, I looked, and everything looks fine, and I know them, I know her, I know him, so that's what I'm saying. So if you have at least 80% of folks who have either HPV or HSV2 don't know it because they don't have any symptoms in the area.
And that's a big mistake, and I've done it myself. When you say I know them, it's like you don't know anything
until you
not even well, that's what I was going to get to. Not even people who are married and in relationships, because an alarming number of women who have been careful, and I'm not using careful to be funny, they've actually been careful, meaning I have been in a relationship with this person for years. I am married to this person. An alarming rate of those women are contracting HPV. I don't know about how much they're contracting HSV too, but they are contracting HPV at an alarming rate for women who are careful. So they're very wary. Did you have a question?
Yeah, it's HPV, human
papillomavirus. Yes.
Okay.
And we talked about just now how it can live on other areas of the body, you know, in the genital area, maybe not specifically on the genitals.
Yeah.
And so what can happen, even if you're using a condom, you can obviously come in contact with those areas. And also a note is that it can live outside of the condom, meaning it can, you know, through friction, it can live outside of the condom and potentially you can make contact for it. Also men, even the greatest guy, like this one right here, they don't have a test for men for HPV.
Right.
So they can't, like we can get, oh my God, a pap smear.
Oh, the pap smear.
I've not been
Pap
drinking.
smear, yeah.
Women can get pap smears to detect if we have HPV, but men don't have a test. I mean, I heard an old wives' tale that you can like, it's something with apple cider vinegar. But anyway, moving on.
Oh, apple cider vinegar is really good.
Yeah.
So as Flotacious started us out with, she like beat me to my fact. Always wear a condom, but also always communicate often and early about your sexual history and get tested together. Not a screenshot on the phone.
Right.
Not, I'm gonna mail you something that I doctored in a PDF. Literally go together and get tested.
It is true. It's real.
Here's one of my favorite things. I'm not trying to point fingers, but I did a lot of research for this episode, like months ago. You guys don't even know. And something I found very interesting was that there were 2 quotes in 2 different articles, and I will put all the links below in the description, where the CDC was quoted. See if you can find what's wrong with these 2 statements. So the first statement we kind of touched on, which is most people don't know or aren't aware because they don't show symptoms. And that's one of the reasons there's a lack of testing. Okay. Second part, if I went to the clinic with you guys, I'm not painting any crazy scenarios, but if I went to the clinic because one of you were my partner and I said, I'm trying to be safe and I'm trying to be responsible, give us the STD special test, guess what? They're not going to test you for herpes. And the CDC says, well, the reason we don't do that is because we wouldn't want to bring emotional trauma to someone who could potentially get a false positive. They also mentioned that there's a high cost involved with the lab results for that test. So that's why it's not included in a standard routine STD screening. So I don't know if anyone else finds any contradictions with the 2 statements or nonsense, but just wanted to throw that out there. If you're following these guys' advice and you're like, we're gonna go get tested together, you have to specifically request that they test for HPV 2.
And HIV.
Oh.
That's an additional test.
Look at
Yeah.
Okay, Franko with the facts.
That is like, it's long, but that's why I'm like, I can't imagine not having an income to go and test because it is expensive. It adds up, you know, that's an additional cost.
We all need to have GoFundMes, I think.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Or I guess they'll just say, you know, the Christians would say just abstinent.
Yes, that is true.
Right?
But to be fair, I know I have
and
a
I don't
friend.
diss that. I
have a friend who's done long periods of abstinence, and she's found.
I like friend.
Well, her friend told her that if she did it, her innards would explode. You know who you are. You're Canadian. You know who you are. Point being, I think.
What about? Okay, I'm gonna let you finish.
I think some things that I come around to believing because I had come from a very Christian family too, and I was just like, okay, I'm more spiritual than religious. But then, to be honest, just being honest, there's certain things that came back, and I was like, oh, I do believe that, but not because I'm religious or not because you told me. Because the way they say it is usually, at least I come from a Baptist background. So it's usually like threatening you.
I do.
If you don't do this. So actually, I will say, shout out to the church. Maybe just change the format a little bit and don't try to scare people. But yes, some things are good. I think it's up to each individual if you want to be abstinent, and if you do, I will say, from my friends' experience and from others' experience,
The Canadian.
it seems like, you know, whether it's a month or a year, it seems like it is, you know, something to look into, something to consider. How about that?
Yeah, because everyone is not meant to, and this goes for guys too, is not meant to come into your temple. You know, this body is technically is not, yes, it's sort of yours, but it's your, God has given it to you, and He lent it to you, and you cannot just let anyone. That's why it's, you know, one of my.
Can He lend me Rihanna's body next time?
One of just.
That might be a nice body, right?
Yeah. A former friend of mine told me one time. She said, you know, you should engage in one night stands and casual sex. I said, I will not. I'm so sorry. If that's your thing, hey, but you're putting your body at risk.
Right.
And whoever they're sleeping with, I'm so sorry, you're taking in all that.
I'm gonna plug the episode 1, Flotations and Culture and Hookup Culture.
Yeah.
If you didn't watch that, the lighting is not as good as it is in this video, yes. But please, thank you for the plug, the segue to the plug.
Yeah.
Watch Hookup Culture. That is like one of my favorites, even though it's starring me, so it's a little self-serving. But it's a good episode.
Yes.
It has the most views so far.
I like that.
It's good.
Oh my God, I'm so happy that I met you guys.
Oh, me too.
I just put out, they
Put
just
an
answered
ad.
a Craigslist ad where
And
I
you
said,
never know
if
with
you'd like
those.
to be spanked to show up today. No, I'm kidding.
But I do like being spanked though.
Oh.
Yeah.
But only like, no, somebody I know. I mean,
Right,
somebody I'm
yeah.
with.
Well,
Yeah.
we got to get to know her
I
better before we can
know.
spank.
I know.
So every goals, that's summer goals.
Yes,
Summer goals right there.
2018.
Shout out to everybody participating in today's AIDS Walk in New York City. Any closing thoughts? Or plug yourself?
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely important. If we learned anything, any takeaway today is get tested regularly and wear a condom.
Yes.
Or put a condom on somebody.
Yes.
And don't think that, oh, I looked at him, I looked at her, she looks clean, she looks healthy. I'm going to tell you, my father told me one time, he said, some of the best looking people are walking HIV. And he told me that. And I was like, when he said that, and it's the way he told me with sternness and seriousness, he said, so you better be careful. Most of these guys, all they want from you is what's in your panties.
Oh, damn.
Shout out to Dad.
Yes.
I do want, my closing thought is similar to what you touched on, Flotacious, is that it's all about you. I know we get caught up in this culture of celebrity and everybody, I don't care what you say, you are following a celebrity or some celebrity, or you got up at 5 a.m. yesterday to see the wedding. We really have to focus on ourselves, and that's the point of this channel. Again, self-help for the self-destructive. For anyone who may be grappling with the disease that they contracted, peace and love to you.
Yes.
On your journey. We're all still human. We should never discount or discard someone who may be having some health issues. So peace and blessings and love and light to everyone who's tuning in today. I really appreciate it. I don't know what the next topic is going to be, but it's going to be lit.
And be your own celebrity.
Yes.
You don't, I mean, you may
And
not have the
again,
money.
universe, if you're renting bodies, I would like Rihanna's just one more time.
I love that.
Bye, everyone. So I'm here in Dwayne Reed, checking out the condoms, and you know the oddest thing is that there are condoms for $49.99 that are sold out, and these are lambskin condoms. Like they offer the least protection, yet they're $49. All right, yeah.